Hi, everybody. It's Lorana, and it's time for Rose Garden Radio, live from the very center of the universe. Yay! Canton, Ohio. Yay! Listen, thanks for being here. I'm always amazed that you're my last thing before I start my weekend, I guess. And I'm always amazed how quick it comes around. I guess that's a really good thing. But if this is your first time, welcome to Rose Garden Radio. We're dedicated to helping you shift from what we call 3D, your life right now, to 5D, living your dream life fully from the depth of your spiritual heart. And it's absolutely possible. And I'm going to keep trying till you get it. So don't worry, one way or another. It might not always be this, but here we go. So I've been doing some pie stories, PIE, that have been really fun. And about a month ago, I started like deconstructing the pie. And what I mean by that is, how can I break it down so maybe you can follow this recipe in your own way to live your dream, to slip into 5D, as we call it. So, anyways, and it is a shift, but once you make it, it's you're not going anywhere different. You're here, but life is different because you are. So, anyways, without any further ado, let's get started. I have, I think, a funny story that someone shared with me, and I'm going to use it in my demonstration somehow today. I never practice these things, so here I am showing up, which is an important thing to do, right? All we have to do is show up. So we're starting with a pie. This is your pie. Make it an apple pie, cinnamon spice, whatever kind of pie you want, but we're going to make it. So in the center, I always put a little dot, and that is your spiritual heart, and that's where this all comes from. So the last couple of shows, we've been discussing like how to tell the difference between what's in your head and what's in your heart, because this pie, this heart, you're the spiritual magnet that draws everything towards you, your desire. So it starts with a desire, and that desire is something you feel. It's not something you're thinking, oh, that would be good. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do that. I want you to just pretend like your brain is a computer, and we're going to shut it off. Now what happens? The elevator goes down, and it goes to this. This is your spiritual heart, which also has a brain. And this is where it all happens. And so once you have a desire, we talked about this. You have a desire in your heart, you're feeling it. And then this is quick. Let that desire go. Let it out there to whatever you want to think, the cosmos, whatever. But you're still feeling the results of the end result of your desire. So, that is the first kind of pieces. You just feel it. That's a desire, and just let it go. That's the second step. Then the part that I wanted to hone in on is, how do you know when like this is all working for you, right? And that you don't have to worry about. but you do have to take some action. And a lot of times it's not like you think it's going to be. It's usually in this realm, it's a feeling. It's like, I think I should do this, or I think I should do that, or I think I should take someone up on that offer, or whatever the heck it is. It'll be a feeling, and it's not directly, you can't see a direct correlation usually to your desire, but this is, so you can't see maybe a direct correlation to your desire, but I promise you, if you take it, it's the language of the heart, and that's the shift. You're shifting to this other language. And I want to try to teach you that language. And it's universal, but it's built on kind of feelings. Sometimes we call it intuition, but it gets it gets a lot juicier once you learn it and practice it, and you're speaking it in your own way. That's when the it gets like really interesting and fun and all that stuff. So, anyways, so I'm going to share a story now that someone shared with me, and maybe we'll be able to extract some pieces from it. I don't know. I thought it was a poignant yet funny story. And anyways, here we go. So this woman, I'm going to call her Jules. She was at a crossroads. She was, I forget how old she was when she told me that. Well, anyway, she's a bit older, but I remember, let's just say she's like, Miss Lorana, I don't know what. This was a while ago. Um, and I just back up with her the other day. So this is going to be good. So, Miss Lorana, I don't know why. I'd really like to meet somebody, but I just feel like, I should be with George Clooney or something. It's George Clooney again. Gosh darn it. And I'm like, well, we know he's married now and all that stuff, but there's something to that though. George Clooney is not available. You may or may not meet him. Anything is possible, but there's a reason probably behind this when we sort of fixate on maybe a star or someone that we don't know. But beside that, so I was like, what did I say? I said, okay, there has to be a reason behind this, probably. I wonder what it was. What do you like about George Clooney? She's like, well, I really love, it's not his money, it's not his fame. She says, I really love that he's a big humanitarian. And I'm like, well, that's reasonable because he is. And okay, so humanitarian. And sometimes when these things happen, they're really holding a piece of that you want in your life for yourself. It's like a mirror. Okay. So anyways, regardless, ironically enough, I said, I think now George Clooney, is in Rome and kind of like the border there, blah, blah, blah. And I think just if you feel like you're drawn to George Clooney, then I think you need to put yourself in some type of proximity, right? This is your life. You need to go for something. You don't know what you're going for, but you need to go for it, whatever it is. That's my philosophy. So we start with the desire to meet, I guess, and be with George Clooney. Okay. That's where she was at. And you got to just be where you're at, because there's a reason for it. And don't maybe take things too literally, but whatever, right? It's a breadcrumb. Let's go. So the first step, I said, well, I think you should go to Rome. she's like, well, I don't know if that's possible. I have a little money saved, but it's everything's so expensive. I don't know. It just doesn't seem possible right now. I said, well, why not? I said, do you have any friends that work for airline or anything? She's like, well, as a matter of fact, I do. I have a good friend that's a pilot at Delta. I said, well, they have this thing called a buddy pass, and they probably will give you one, and for just a fraction of the cost, you can go to Italy and go to straight to Rome. And so Jules says, I'm going to look into that. And she did. And it worked. Her friend had one. He's like, Jules, no problem, man, anytime. I get so many of these a year, and if I don't use them for friends or family, they're gone. And I'm happy to do that. When you want to go? So, she picked a month. It was October, November. Anyways, and then as life works, she's back in here. She happened to come back to Miss Lorana because we're working on her pie, and I'm happy to do it. So next time she dropped in, she told me this great news, and I'm so happy for her. And ironically enough, a good friend of mine was going to Egypt on a cruise, but was in Rome, had through her family apartments. Anyways, a friend of mine's family had a big apartment over there in Rome, and that's very common over in Italy. A lot of families have empty apartments. It sounds crazy, but they do. And so it all worked out. My friend was happy it was right at the time where she was over there and then going to Egypt with her friends. And she was happy for Jules to stay in that apartment for as long as she wanted. So my God, the magic is happening, right? Well, ironically, so Jules went over there, and she threw me a few emails now and then, and here's the funny part. So all those things are pulled to Jules. Can you see? She didn't have to do a thing but hold that desire, and hold the desire of, I'm in the presence of George Clooney. What would that feel like to Jules? Not to George, not to anybody. What feeling does that evoke inside Jules, right? That's the main thing. It's the feeling of meeting or being with George Clooney. That's what we're after. Okay, so she's over there in Rome. She's like, Mr. You're not going to believe this. And believe me, I am, because it's true, because I saw it from my own eyes. She said, just about one in every other man in Rome looks like George Clooney. I can't believe it. What's going on? And it's true. And it's probably why he went over there. I always said so he wouldn't be bothered. Anyways, so I said, well, just go out and meet one, right? Just get out there. And I gave her a few places. I said, I want you to go to this little like a little restaurant, I don't know what to exactly, it wasn't really a cafe, but anyways, I said, I want you to go to this little place in Campo dei Fiori. It's really charming. And over there they put out, these fabulous, like happy hours, and people come and I said, just get yourself out there. You're over there, and just take a walk over there. You're not too far away from there, because I knew where she was. And anyway, so she went over there, and when she met somebody, right? His name was Guido Ciano. Guido Ciano right there in Campo dei Fiori. So they made a date, and so boom, this is starting to happen. Looked just like George Clooney. His name was Guido, but he was gorgeous, right? And the interesting part of the story that I like is that Jules was so excited. You know, she got all dressed up and, you know, all that, and was so excited that she was going to, you know, meet her George Clooney, and she couldn't believe it. She said, Miss Lorana, this Guido is so good looking. I feel like somebody's going to think I won him in a raffle type thing, right? Okay. But here's the interesting piece. They went out to this nice restaurant. I happen to know the one. It's like in the basement, Via Capilleri, and very quaint and romantic. And, you know, they had this fondue and this, you know, all this stuff. And she said, I couldn't believe it though. I was looking at this gorgeous man, and by the end of the evening, I was seeing a monster. From what he spoke of and how he felt and blah, blah, blah. And what a powerful, powerful, powerful shift that was for Jules. She's like, wow, I wonder what that's about, right? So it's getting time for her to head back home. She met a George, or a Guido, George Clooney clone. And she had a big aha moment that maybe there was something that she was missing, or, you know, she really wasn't looking for what she thought she was looking for, so anyway, she came back to the center of the universe, Canton, Ohio, and she was right there in her own neighborhood, outside, working in a yard, something like that. And down the street comes this guy, and I don't know, he stopped, he asked for directions, or I forget how she said it came down, but she felt something. Now, he didn't look like George Clooney, and I can tell you his name wasn't even George. But she was ready, and she realized that's what I was looking for in the George Clooney scenario. I was looking for someone with a big heart that I could connect to, and I found it. It found her. She didn't have to do anything. She was outside, like raking some leaves or getting her mail or whatever it was. So that's the moral of that story. And there's the pie. You never know how it's going to work out, but if you hold that desire, I can promise you, I absolutely can promise you that it will. Okay, I love you all so much. Happy New Year, 2026. Yay, I've been waiting for this one. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.